Welcome back to Hot Keys. We are today going to be talking about a huge Packers 27-19 win over the Chiefs. Wonderful. News around the league. We'll catch up with the NFC North. We'll have a chef's kiss, all the good stuff, along with another special guest. I'm really excited about that, aren't you, Aaron?
Big one.
Big special guest. Really happy about that. I'm your host, Brady Augustine, as always, joined by the football girl who's even got her own t-shirt at this point.
Da 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 da.
Aaron Knapp. Aaron, how are you doing today?
Great.
Great?
How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, especially as a podcaster who talks about the Green Bay Packers for a living.
Yeah.
It's been a little bit of a turnaround from the last month that we've had to endure with the Green Bay Packers. And in this case, Jordan Love just headed in all the right directions in all kinds of ways. So, But around the league, yet another, from what I understand, quarterback goes down.
What's going on? Trevor Lawrence, he's out for an unknown amount of time with a high ankle sprain. But you know who else had a high ankle sprain last year and ended up winning MVP?
Oh, no, I don't. Who?
Patrick Mahomes. That was either the championship game or the Super Bowl. Championship game?
Yeah. Now that you mention it, that is one of the things I mentioned in my prediction was I thought people were underestimating how he was going to be playing because of that. Yeah, they were thinking it was the championship game because it was going into the Super Bowl then. He had two weeks of rest, and it's Patrick Mahomes. But
some people are saying Trevor Lawrence might come back and win MVP.
Oh, my word. Oh, wow. Yeah. Brock Purdy, watch out. Watch out.
Yeah, I don't know. So that was a big one from this weekend. In other news, Tim Boyle has been released from the Jets. That was so short-lived.
Man, it was short-lived.
And guess who's back?
No, please not. Please not.
I'll F your mother, Zach Wilson.
It's so bad. It's so bad.
This is, the second time he was benched this season or just once? Was he benched only one time? I'm losing track.
He was benched when they signed Rodgers, so he has been benched twice.
So many times. And
oh, my Lord.
When they saw this week, I guess maybe today, how Wilson was feeling about starting this weekend, he said, boy, is he excited.
He's lying his tail. He's so mad right now. So mad.
He's got a spark, y'all. He's about to spark.
He's going to carry that team till Rodgers comes back and takes him to the promised land. I
guess so.
But yeah, I mean, I think Tim Boyle had a better chance of doing that than he did. I mean, that's the state of the league this year. It's just absolutely crazy who we're losing and who the injuries are just insane. We've been talking about them all year. Speaking of which, those Lions are in pretty rough shape, along with just about everyone else in the league, I think, at this point.
I feel like just weeks ago we were talking about how healthy they are, and now look at them. They're being plagued by injuries on both the O-line and the defense.
Yeah, and funny thing, we had that conversation partly because we had been plagued with injuries and still are missing people. And I think they had, 4 guys on the list. And then we played them, and we beat them anyway. So maybe there's no correlation between health, but I've got to believe there's a real opportunity in the league right now for some team to stay healthy and win it all.
Yeah, I'm wondering. So the Lions are still winning. They're still 9-3, I believe. And Dallas, I'm not keeping up with Dallas this season, but apparently they're making a play for it. They're ranking up for it. I don't know.
Yeah, Dak is playing really good football right now. And McCarthy has changed up the offense a little bit to make his job a little easier. And that's a dangerous team. Yeah, that's a dangerous team. They've had a little bit of a struggle here and there, but that's a dangerous team. And I hate to say it because they're the Cowboys, and I hate the Cowboys.
Yeah.
You know the whole Ice Bowl story, right?
No.
Okay, so one of the championships that Green Bay has, of course, we go back, the first Super Bowl wasn't called a Super Bowl. It's just a championship game as the AFC NFC World Championship game. Well, the NFC Championship used to basically be the Super Bowl. And the game that was played the first Super Bowl, Packers had to go through Dallas to do it. It was like minus 20 degrees. I forget what it was. It was incredibly cold. This was before they heated the field. It's like a rock out there. And Bart Starr on a quarterback sneak scored the winning touchdown in that game. So,
okay.
So Cowboys fans hate us too.
Yeah.
But then there was the 90s, and they just beat the living snot out of us every time we.
Oh, the glory days that all Cowboys fans are just always trying to recreate and relive.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll make it past third. I mean, if they knock the Lions out, because I think they probably could, they're probably in fourth right now. I had them and the Seahawks, but then the Seahawks have kind of fallen off. They haven't performed like I thought they would.
The Seahawks aren't looking good. I would have the Cowboys with the way. In my mind, the Cowboys defense is starting to become the Cowboys defense that I expected. So I would have the Lions defense is becoming the defense that I expected out of them. So I would think the Cowboys, I would probably, if I had to bet, maybe think the Cowboys could take them. So,
yeah.
But still a lot of football to play. Packers with a handful of games now, all of which are much more winnable looking than any of them looked in the recent past.
Yeah.
Bears, Vikings, bye week each. So these guys, we had the very early bye week. They've got the later one. They're going to get a little bit of rest, a little bit of recharge, potentially get, for the Vikings case, talking a potential of Justin Jefferson coming back.
Yeah.
Packers have to play the Vikings week 17, Bears 18. So still some significant games on the docket. That Minnesota Vikings game is at US Bank. Mm-hmm. Packers get to play the Bears at home. So that's I think right now looks like as good a way to end the season as possible. Hopefully, rolling into a playoff booth, but that's the state of the North as we see it. And the Packers now holding the number 7 seed overall if we can hang on to that and win a few games. So good stuff there.
Yeah.
How about Rookie of the Week?
How about it?
You got one? You want me to go first?
I got one.
You got one?
His name is Ben Sims, everybody.
I was so happy for him.
It's true. He played in 4 games so far this season. And to see him get his first career touchdown and then Lambeau Leap was really fun to watch.
And even having to have the conversation about whether you do or not, but I just love that he chose the fans and he just went and jumped in. And the look on his face, he looked just genuinely so stoked.
So excited when I was watching the game and I saw him get the touchdown. I saw his name because I'll be honest, I was at a Christmas party and I wasn't allowed to put this on the big screen because my boss, big Eagles fan.
Oh.
We weren't allowed to let him know anything about that Eagles score.
So he's Satan?
I don't know why he's an Eagles fan. But all that
I don't know why anybody's an Eagles fan.
Watching it on my phone on the table in secrecy. And I saw Ben run into the end zone and I thought, who the hell is he? I don't know.
I'm not the only one asking that question at that point. And the Packers, you draft 2 tight ends to try and fill out. You offload Mercedes Lewis, then you lose one in training camp, and you still got to go out and find a guy. And then, lo and behold, he comes on the field, and Jordan Love finds him for a touchdown. It was just really, really something. And that particular play is one Green Bay used to get away with all the time. Just that, I'm a tight end, I'm blocking. Whoops, I flipped. Yeah. And then I'm just happen to be wide open in the end zone. Yeah. Yeah. I'm loving seeing that come back, to be honest. And, in fact, I may change my chef's kiss here, but I'm going to go with for my Rookie of the Week. I gotta go back to LV. I gotta go back to Lucas Van Ness, my dude. And part of it is because he's been silent for so long, he scared me. Okay. I've been waiting, been watching. And of course, Preston Smith has a sack in this game, Rashawn Gary as well. This was a total team effort from front to back. East to west, really solid showing. I know the Chiefs aren't the scoring juggernaut that they've been in the past, but this is Patrick freaking Mahomes. This is the reigning Super Bowl offense. This is the reigning Super Bowl or NFL MVP. And to see LVN get in there, and it's kind of like the Ben Sims, it's like he hadn't done that much. He's a rookie. To have a good game, really an active game. I think he had also a tackle for loss in this one. He really showed, it looked to me like things are starting to click for Lucas Van Ness. So I'll give him my Rookie of the Week. And as for a chef's kiss, I want to hear yours first because I just want to revel in this one.
Okay. I mean, this was a game changer. This was a game sealer. This was a season changer. I mean, this is a potential.
Yeah. This game never felt out of hand, but this was way too close for a long time, even though the Packers didn't.
So we're up 5-5, and the Chiefs have it, and they're heading down for a touchdown. And who tracks that ball perfectly for interception other than Keyshawn Nixon?
Oh, Keyshawn.
It was
the man.
Beautiful. And I don't know if I was in the car driving home when this happened, but there was some screaming going on.
There was screaming going on here. Yeah.
So excited for that. Because you just knew. I mean, I was holding my breath because it's Patrick Mahomes, you guys. He's heading down for a touchdown. And sometimes when he gets it in his mind, he's going to do something. He just does it. And we needed a playmaker to make a play. Like, we needed that turnover. And, yes.
Yeah. Turning your back to the quarterback is often a bad thing. You saw Jordan Love take advantage of it when the Chiefs did it. But when you see, and I was talking to my son the other day, we were watching the Bucks play basketball of all things, and he said, you can call whether the shot's going in before it even hits. And I said, well, yeah, as soon as it launches out of the guy's hand, you should be able to calculate exactly where it's going to hit. But it's not as easy. It's easier said than done. And Keyshawn Nixon, the minute the ball came out, he was a wide receiver. Like, he was Patrick Mahomes' wide receiver. And his actual hand placement for that catch was not perfect.
No.
It was not ideal. And yet he just made the catch. And yeah, I get at a loss for words. I got to do that one time in my meager football career. And dang, it's a rush. It is such a rush. So yeah, definitely a good choice there for Nixon on that INT. I am going to go with, I'm changing it. We talked to our special guest about the one that I wrote down, but I'm going to change it to Christian Watson climbing the ladder for the touchdown in this one. I mean, the anticipation of Jordan Love, the confidence Love had in Christian Watson coming down with that ball, putting it where only he could get it, is all the stuff I would expect out of any good quarterback. What I had been calling for, I mean, literally, if you listen to me on any of my platforms, you know I've been calling for it when we had Mercedes Lewis, a lot of times with the tight ends, to play the vertical game, not just the horizontal game. And Aaron Rodgers, for whatever reason, just never wanted to play that game unless he needed to throw a ball out of bounds to stop the clock. To see, I mean, if you have to defend left and right, and I also have to defend 7'8", that's a tough one when the quarterback can get you the ball. Shout out to Jordan Love for that beautiful pass. And those are not the easiest catches to make because your hands generally pass outside of your vision. So it's a lot of feel to it. Shout out to Christian Watson. Get well soon. I want to see him back as soon as possible. But, yeah, that one was, I thought, just a thing of beauty. So.
Yeah.
All right. So we kind of went over the injury report. Christian Watson, I think, is the big one on our minds right now.
Yeah.
I am concerned about that. I watched that again, and he was grasping his hammy really high up toward the glute. So I don't know. We'd never found any clarity on what the injury was initially, when it was located. But I was always expecting it was in the belly of the hamstring, and this looks like maybe it's a new one. Maybe it's another one. I don't know. But
I hope not.
Yeah, we'll be missing him. I think if there was a stretch of games that we could survive without him, this might be it, rolling into a potential playoff run, but not good to see. Of course, Aaron Jones still in there. You know, you're hoping you get him back with the MCL at some point. And Luke Musgrave, when does your lacerated, like how do you tell that your lacerated kidney is healed?
I don't know. I didn't Google how long it takes for one of those to heal.
Is it like a Pillsbury Doughboy where you push it, and if I laugh, then I'm okay. I can go on the field, maybe. I don't know.
Your kidney is not in the front of your stomach, you silly. It's in your back.
Wait, was it a kidney?
Yeah.
I thought it was okay. Where are they? Right here?
Yeah.
I just meant is this how you figure it out? It's the manual test, like the ACL test. They just jab you there, and if you scream, then you can't play that.
We should get a doctor on here to talk.
We should.
We should get somebody, like a sports medicine kind of guy to.
Right, and I had a guy rent this very studio for a year, and he was in the Jaguars training room. Yep, would have loved to have him on right now, but
yeah,
no longer with us. So.
Oh well.
So we are going to talk about Packers Chiefs. I mean, we gave away our rookie of the week, our chef's kiss. What else sort of jumps out at you about this game? I mean, this was a big win. Back to back.
Big
prime
one.
time.
I didn't even know that Taylor was there.
Oh, is that not nice?
Not a clue.
Yeah.
Was Mama Kelsey there too? I don't know.
I don't think so. I was thinking about you and realized that I did not see her. So maybe there was,
Yeah, I don't have any recollection. Now, again, I was only watching like just here and there kind of thing, but I don't recall ever seeing.
You know who was there?
Simone Biles.
Simone Biles. And Tony Salute. Yes. This is what I loved about it, is as if the Wisconsin nobodies got a chance to upstage Taylor Swift in this one. And I was actually pretty happy that they covered it the way they did. And they didn't like dwell on all that. And they did. I love seeing Simone Biles down on the sideline. She had to get dressed up. She had to get dressed in her warm coat and everything to come down. But yeah, and the Packers win a big one. I don't think either one of us predicted it.
I didn't. We did predict that it was going to be a call and response kind of game. I did not predict that we would be calling.
Yeah.
We would be making the calls.
Mm-hmm.
We were ahead the entire time.
The entire game.
The Chiefs never had a lead. What?
Yeah.
Who would have ever predicted that?
I don't know anybody did.
Some of the best sports bettors.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure some of the Packers team members had some confidence in this one, but complimentary football, it's like going back to the Nixon interception. That was right when we needed it. And then complimentary football, special teams comes into that. Anders Carlson had himself a day, by the way, which needs to be mentioned since you've been on him, all season saying it's going to work out. The difference between, a 5-point game and a game in which you not only have to score a touchdown, but also have to get a 2-point conversion is night and day. And that was huge. Plus, I think, didn't we have a penalty or something and knock that back? Or was that the one where, Jordan Love took the sack? I don't remember, but yeah, this was a crazy one.
Yeah, it was a full team effort.
Yeah. From the coaching staff on down, I thought that the job that they did was this was the best organized and executed game potentially that Matt LaFleur has had. I'm trying to think of any better. Certainly in the Jordan Love season, in this season, but, night and day difference from when the Packers played the Chiefs and Jordan Love had to start because, Aaron Rodgers had COVID. So good to see that. I'm very excited about a lot of what I saw. You'll see our special guest will break down a lot of this for you on Twitter. I'm keeping his name secret still.
Okay.
It's kind of a thing now, I think. It's in the podcast, so.
Sure.
But there was a lot of stuff Jordan Love showed me in this game that I had not seen before. His confidence is through the roof now. His chemistry has gotten to the point where he's throwing balls with anticipation, which is incredibly important and also really, really difficult. And if you're a quarterback, kind of scary, because if somebody breaks the wrong way, it turns into a pick. But this was one for the ages in terms of the development of a very, very young Packers offense in particular. And I think, Justice Mosqueda he was on with Andy Herman, and he said this is the cheapest offense in the entire National Football League, by the way. Mm-hmm. And so to have him go out and put up 27 on the Chiefs defense, that is an incredible defense, a really solid group of guys and really great D coordinators. Just fantastic to see.
Yeah. And I had seen, I couldn't go back and find it because sometimes I scroll on Twitter and I just scroll for ever. And then I realize I want to go back and find something and it's gone. But somebody had said that the defense was now like number 10. Like it was the defense is. Yeah.
Depending on what metric you're looking at. But yeah. Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty sure points allowed were good. I just looked a couple of those up the other day. I can't remember them off the top of my head, but yeah, I mean, there are ways, if you're talking about yards, we're like 18th. Okay.
Yeah.
That's not good. But if you're talking about points, that's what matters. I regularly repeat the old cliche as always, defense wins championships. My statement is points wins championships. You either make them or you take them. And, that defense like I think I did in the last, since the Minnesota Vikings game where we lost, they're averaging giving up 17.4 points per game. So, okay, you got a young quarterback that's starting for his first full season, but if you have to score 18 points, shouldn't you win a lot of games that way?
Mm-hmm.
I think you should. So Joe Barry his seat's cooling off a little, I think, for a lot of people. I don't know. We'll see what you think. Some people aren't going to get off that bandwagon.
That Clayton just threw that question out. So are we still thinking about firing Joe Barry? And I didn't read his comments or anything, but then he followed up like, he's just asking a question.
Oh, my word.
Jen.
Oh, poor Clayton.
I would do the same thing, Clayton. I love it.
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
Yep. It's fun stuff.
It's fun questions over here.
Yep. Yep. And we'll refer you to that conversation with Clayton if you want to hear our discussion of Joe Barry at the time. So,
yeah.
All right. Well, should we cut with the mystery and bring on a guest? What do you think?
I think we should.
All right. Let's do it. Here with Andy Herman, of all people, the Podfather, the Pack-A-Day podcast. Been listening to Pack-A-Day for, I would say, many years is a good way to say that. Andy, I will be one of the few. My favorite podcast you ever did probably is when you explained how you do your grading system.
Interesting.
It was, to me, I was enthralled. It was crazy. But, of course, Andy, I think everybody knows you. We're very thankful that you're willing to get on with us. And we thought we'd have a few questions for you after Jordan Love meets the Chiefs as starter for the second time.
Yeah, no, thanks so much for having me. Great to talk with you guys as well. It's obviously an extremely fun time in Packers land. 3 straight victories. We didn't know what this season was going to bring. We didn't know what the Jordan Love era was going to bring. And right now, it's all kind of coming up aces, which is a ton of fun. And like I said, it's a lot of fun to talk about the Packers right now.
You can really sense the energy with all the people that do what we do. It's sure a lot easier when they're winning games, and especially the way Jordan Love is coming on at this particular time. I think we all knew there were going to be bumps in this road, but it's so fun to see him throw 3 touchdowns against the Chiefs. He should have had 4 in this game. What, however, do you think, and I know you do, you break down a lot of these plays. I got to see a bunch of those and really appreciate that too. So feel free to send people to all your stuff. But in terms of, generally speaking, what do you see about Jordan Love's game right now that impresses you the most?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's been a little bit of a journey. So, we'll just go back to training camp. In training camp and in OTAs, mini camp, all of it, I saw a very similar Jordan. I saw a Jordan that was gaining confidence, that was going through all of his reads, going through all of his progressions, understood the cadence, understand how to get everyone lined up, all of it. It was a really positive experience. However, there would be days where he looked really good doing all of that. There'd be other days where it just looked a little bit disjointed, a little bit, where the defense got the best of him on a given day, which is going to happen in practice from time to time. But it was a lot of the things that I saw. You go back to Chicago and even against Atlanta early in that game up until the fourth quarter when Atlanta kind of took Green Bay back by storm. And then kind of even like the second half of that Saints game, I saw a lot of the same things. I saw a lot of confidence going through his reads, his progressions, 1 through 4, however many he needed to get to, finding the right players. Now, the accuracy wasn't always there, but he had that confidence. He had the ability to go through his reads and progressions and had full command of the offense. Then week 4 happened. Detroit happened. And he was going through his reads. He's going through his progressions. But Aiden Hutchinson's getting to him right away. John Kaminsky's coming up the middle, getting to him right away. And there were a lot of times he needed to take those easy plays, the checkdowns, but he wasn't. And because of that, he was getting pressured. He was getting sacked. He wasn't getting the ball out on time. And you had an offense that just didn't look right. And then what we saw from Jordan was learning in real time. Now, all of a sudden, he goes to that Detroit game, and now his clock is speeding up a little bit. And it doesn't help that then you get Max Crosby after that, and they've seen a lot of really great pass rushers. And there were times now where all of a sudden he's speeding up his clock and he's getting rid of the ball sometimes a little bit too quick. Maybe not going through all of his progressions, maybe just hitting a check down when he could have maybe saw a play down the field progress and maybe get a bigger shot down the field. And then all of a sudden, and I think everyone was pressing a little bit, they get the win against the Rams, and there felt like some things that they got to in the offense that was repeatable. They go to Pittsburgh. It wasn't a win, but I saw a lot more things that were successful, repeatable. And you get the Lions game, and then the Chiefs or the Chargers game, Lions game, Chiefs game, and all of a sudden you're seeing this level of confidence, and you're seeing all the things that I saw in training camp and even earlier in the year. But now he's kind of put it together. He's understanding the timing. The game is slowing down for him, and I think just that experience, that confidence. Goody was right. The biggest thing left in Jordan's development was just to play. There are certain things that you cannot learn on a practice field. You have to be out on the game field to actually experience it, grow from it, and learn from it. And that's what we're seeing from Jordan. And you never know if that's going to happen, if it's going to click or if it's just going to sputter out. And there were times in the middle of that season where it was kind of sputtering a little bit. And then for whatever reason, it's clicked. He's got that confidence back. And now he's just ripping the ball with a purpose. And it's really, really fun to watch.
Yeah, that was a heck of a game, and I think it really aids in his anticipation. You saw a lot of anticipation in those throws. I think you highlighted one on Twitter too, where, ball's out before Christian Watson is even in the screen at that point. And that's the kind of stuff you want. I will say this quickly. My favorite part of that play that you highlighted is that he steps up. He has to avoid. He's got a linebacker in his face and he fully resets his feet. When I saw him fully reset his feet, I got chills. That's the mark of a guy that's a veteran move. Reset, ball out, perfectly thrown ball. So.
And not just resetting, but keeping the eyes downfield is what,
Sure.
So many quarterbacks they're going to step in that pocket and they're going to look for that rush alley. They're going to look for that rushing lane. And he didn't. He stepped up in the pocket with a purpose to keep his eyes downfield, got his eyes downfield, located Christian. Then, as you mentioned, goes back to his fundamentals, resets his feet, rips the ball with anticipation and timing. Gorgeous stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I've been somebody so I'm new to Packer Nation. I am a Steelers fan by birth. So, they've been very welcoming to me. Packer Nation has been, but, I'm brand new. So Jordan Love has been somebody that I've always been kind of questionable about. And I think a lot of people have been. Is he the guy? Is he not the guy? And so Aaron Rodgers had mentioned, you just got to let Jordan be Jordan. And we have, and I actually put together some stats last week for Jordan compared to some of the elite quarterbacks in the league thus far. And he's pretty comparable to a lot of them in passing yards, touchdowns, interceptions, things like that. And, I guess, is it too soon to ask the question? Is he the guy? Is he the guy that you build your offense around? Or, is he going to be their franchise quarterback for the future? What do you think?
Yeah, it's never too early to ask the question, right? As far as the answer, it's all trending in the right direction. And that's what you want to see right now. I think the nice thing for Green Bay and Jordan is they can't rework his contract right now anyway. It's going to have to be something that takes place in the offseason. They've got the remainder of the year to kind of just double check and triple check every box that they want to check. And then they can have that discussion in the offseason. He's under contract next year with a really nice salary number. So there's a lot of things that are really aiding this where they don't have to have this immediate answer. They don't have to make a decision on a future. They can just let the remainder of the season play out. And that's kind of best for everyone. For Jordan, if he continues to play well, he's going to get paid. And for Green Bay, if they just want to double check, triple check, because you don't want to end up in a Daniel Jones situation. I don't think that's going to happen with Jordan in any capacity, but you don't want to give this massive contract and then he's just not good. That's one of the worst situations that you can be in. And on the reverse side, you don't want to make the decision to move on from the quarterback and then he ends up being great somewhere else. So you really need to get this evaluation and this decision right. And you let this play out for as long as it can for the remainder of this year and then make the determination at that point. However, what I will say is you traded up for Jordan Love in 2020 when you had Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. Mm-hmm. You then developed him. You traded away the face of your franchise in Aaron Rodgers. You gave him the starting spot. You then started him. And then you got proof of concept with back-to-back-to-back extremely impressive performances against the Chargers, the Lions, and the Chiefs, specifically the Chiefs, where you're going toe-to-toe, Patrick Mahomes, Sunday Night Football. Points were all extremely important all throughout the game. And not only that, but the Chiefs defense is legit. The Lions, we can say they're struggling. The Chargers, we can say they're struggling. But this Chiefs defense is awesome. So to do what he did in those games, in that stretch of games in prime time, when Green Bay desperately needed wins to kind of keep anything alive for the season, that's ingrained in the Packers and in a lot of other GMs and football minds moving forward. And it's really hard to give up on that moving forward, meaning even if he struggles through the remainder of this year, the next 5 games against bad teams, he just kind of looks okay or meh, average. It's so hard to quit what we just saw because you saw exactly what it can be, and the highs are extremely high. So you're going to think, all right, if we maybe just get him 1 or 2 more weapons or develop a running game, put a couple more pieces on the offensive line, we saw that he can go out and execute at the level that we need him to be a high-end quarterback in this league. So it's all trending in the right direction. But again, final answer is they still have 5 games to vet it out. But it would be pretty shocking to me at this point if they don't move in that direction to make him kind of the face of the franchise moving forward.
Sunday night was a huge night for him. I mean, the attention that he got and the attention that I'm seeing across social media, especially Twitter, the recognition that he's getting just from playing against Patrick and winning and all of that. It's almost like he's been shot to stardom in the last week. Just the respect that's been put on his name.
And back-to-back national games against the Lions on Thanksgiving, Chiefs this past week, and now you have the opportunity cemented even more with a Monday night game against the Giants and just kind of keep everything in the national spotlight with what he's doing. And it's been really, really impressive so far.
Yeah, and that's one of my takeaways from the whole Aaron Rodgers comments about let's not crown him, let's not cancel him, let's just let him be himself and give him time because, things can go one way or the other, especially in a sophomore year. But yeah, it's real positive to see this team, potentially, by the time, and I think you tweeted out, Russ Ball, you got a contract to put together or something like that at some point. But, by the time we get that, we'll get a little cap ease. That's part of the reason we've had to have this youth movement. And as fun as it is to be patient, that's, I think, really been the long play of the Packers all along. Now you get this kind of play out of Jordan Love this soon, and it's a real gift. It seriously is.
It is. With that, though, it becomes an interesting dynamic because I think what you're probably leaning towards originally is all right, you have this sort of quote unquote rebuild season in 23. Then 24 comes and you try to probably get a little bit more fiscally responsible, maybe move on from some veterans to get that cap even lower in 2025, let these young players develop a little bit sooner. And then in 2025, you've got a ton of money to spend. All these players are in their prime. Your 2024 draft class with 5 picks in the top 75 is now a piece of that as well. And you're starting to look at 2025 as this is amazing. You've got everything you possibly want. And that looks really good. Plus, when Jordan signs that new deal, 2025 will be the lowest cap hit of any of those years. So that's kind of what you're looking at now. If things progress the way that they are progressing, the itch becomes, do you start putting those pieces in sooner, which I think could potentially actually be a little bit of a mistake. I think they'd almost be better off kind of keeping with the plan that they had and probably going a little bit more 2025. But it's a good problem to have, but it's going to be interesting to see, do they start putting a bunch of resources into 2024 already, knowing that Jordan's got a great contract in 2024, that these players are already gelling together and maybe start course correcting and going that direction? Or do they stay steady, say, hey, we're still going to be good in 2024. We've bought us even some more time, and then really, really go all in 2025. It'll be an interesting dynamic from here on out.
Yeah, but that having that first piece with the quarterback that's trending in all the right ways is really good. Now, another thing that I think is trending in the right direction. We talked to Paul Brettel a few weeks ago, about a month ago, I guess now. And I asked him, cause everything, it looked like the wheels were coming off. Let's be honest. And kind of everything was going wrong. You looked at just about every aspect of the game and it just wasn't going well. But I asked him, if you could wave a magic wand over one thing, what would it be? And his answer was the O-line. And I was wholeheartedly in agreement with that. And I really think part of Jordan Love's confidence, his ability to anticipate and all those starts up front, like the game does. What are you seeing out of this offensive line? And was there a watershed moment at some point, or is this just another, you got to play the game to get good at the game, and this is a young group?
Yeah, they're playing a lot better, and it was a little bit disappointing after Bakhtiari went out that it seemed like this line took a step back. Runyon's still having a tough year. Myers has played pretty darn well over the course of the past month. He might legitimately have played his best football of his career this past week against Kansas City. I thought he was really good this past week. Jenkins has been much, much better over the course of the last couple of months. Zach Tom's been steady all along. Rasheed Walker's played better over the past month-ish. And we see Yosh Nijman, Sean Ryan rotate in. Sean Ryan's played pretty well. Lyman's been a little bit more hit and miss, but overall you can see players are playing better. And I think that competition probably helped things a little bit. But I still agree with Paul in the fact that while the pass protection has been better and the offensive line play in general has been better, it's going to be of the utmost importance for this team to continue to try and develop a running game, because you can't just live and die through the passing game, especially with a young quarterback, regardless of how well he's playing. At some point, you need to give him a few extra ways to win games, meaning by running the football. And that hasn't been a key to Green Bay's success so far. I think if they can get that going, it's going to open up this offense even more. And it's dangerous and scary for other teams to think about that this Green Bay offense is clicking right now with receivers who are babies in this league, rookies and second-year players. Jordan's a first-time starter. The offensive line cannot run block yet. Like, if they just get a run game going and these guys continue to develop, then you're really cooking with gas. And I think that's what the hope is moving forward. But I'm still with Paul. Like, they still need to be better, especially from a run blocking standpoint along the offensive line.
Yeah, I agree with that. I wanted to ask you about the officiating at the end of this game, because everybody seemed to be wanting to put an asterisk on this game. And I popped off a little bit on social media and said, no, we're not going to do that. But specifically, I wanted your thoughts on the unnecessary roughness call that Owens got against Mahomes. Do you think that was an infield play, or what are your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely an infield play. Not even close. They got that one wrong. And, that's the thing, right? It's it's one thing if just all the calls went Green Bay's way, right? If Mahomes was 2 steps out of bounds and Owens crushes him and there's no penalty, if they don't call the pass interference on, Valentine like they didn't, if, it wasn't, or if they were supposed to stop the clock and they wound the clock, if everything went against the Chiefs, yeah, we're probably having a different conversation. But as much, if not more, went against the Packers on that drive than went against the Chiefs. I wholeheartedly believe that should have been pass interference on Carrington Valentine. I believe it should not have been a personal foul. When the play was made, on Jonathan Owens. And then I also think this one's actually a little bit closer, is when MVS went out of bounds, where if you're going backwards, you need to run the clock on that play. And at initial, it definitely looks like he's going backwards. And I still think he's ultimately going backwards in some capacity. But before, just kind of as he's starting to go backwards, or even maybe a tick before, he does reach the football out over the line, which I can understand at least what the referee was seeing in that situation. That one is I will give you the benefit of the doubt a little bit more, but probably should have wound the clock there. Either way, a lot that goes into that last drive. And I think it kind of evens out in the wash in the end, but you just wish it's never going to happen, but you wish they got everything right so that there is nobody trying to put an asterisk on this. Green Bay won the entire game without ever trailing from behind.
Right.
Even if Casey gets the pass interference, it's not a guarantee that they get in the end zone. Even if they get in the end zone, it's not a guarantee they get the 2-point conversion. Even if they get the 2-point conversion, it's not a guarantee that Green Bay doesn't get the ball and go down and score a touchdown to start the game. So I think this was Green Bay's win. They deserved it, but you just wish it was a little bit more clean in the operation towards the end from the refs.
Yeah, and I caught Mike Spofford talking about that on Packers Unscripted too, and he made, I thought, a really solid point that when these are player safety calls, and it's really important to get them right. And he highlighted, oftentimes you'll get a play that is not called on the field of play, and then the player gets fined for it later. And so, his point is let's make these things reviewable, and I thought he had a pretty good point with that.
Yeah, I'm always a little bit in no man's land when it comes to adding more things to the review list, because it just all of a sudden where do you stop, and the game already slows down enough as it is already. So there's never a perfect answer. Nobody's always ever going to win this 100%, because again, either you slow the game down too much, the pace of play becomes an issue. But I do think just from a technological standpoint and with the technology we have, there should be things that are clear and obvious. They have the ability to talk to the officials from New York and get things corrected in a moment's notice. If New York can easily see, hey, he wasn't out of bounds, it takes 10 seconds to be oh, we got the buzz from New York. It's not a personal foul. The ball will go back to whatever yard line, first down Chiefs, and there's no 15-yard penalty after the play. That stuff should inherently be pretty simple. Now, if it were a no huddle situation, would they get it in time? Those are the things that I think have to constantly be considered and thought about. it's an imperfect game. The refs are even more imperfect than I feel like it's ever been. You just got to let the game play out sometimes and hope that it goes in your favor. And thankfully, this time overall, enough good things happen in this game to get Green Bay the win, and I'll take it one way or the other.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yes, definitely an imperfect game. And speaking of imperfections, if there was one that has been pretty highly criticized, maybe not as much lately, of the Packers defense in particular, and the way that Joe Barry is running it, it's the run game. And, I was concerned about Pacheco. Thankfully we did enough. He had 18 carries for 110 and a touchdown in this game. Now the Packers face Saquon Barkley this week, coming up on Monday. What are your thoughts on that defense? That's sort of bend, don't break sort of an ideal that we seem to have. It's been a team now since the Minnesota Vikings game, I think we've averaged 17.4 points a game. That's pretty solid.
I think it comes down to, did they learn their lesson from the Steelers game? Because I wholeheartedly understand and get and sorry, no offense, Aaron, for your Pittsburgh Steelers here. But,
no, lay it on her.
I wholeheartedly understand.
The tank, all right? We're about the tank.
There you go. Wholeheartedly understand if, like, against Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes, maybe even the Lions, that you want to keep those two safeties deep and make sure that you're not getting beat over the top. Like, I understand it. I get it. You're willing to give Isaiah Pacheco 100 yards if it means that Patrick Mahomes doesn't attempt 5, 6, 7 more passes throughout the game down the field, and you're going to get burnt a lot more that way. I understand it. When you're playing Kenny Pickett or, this week, Mr. DeVito, Tommy DeVito, like, those are games where you can't see ghosts. You can't be afraid of what could happen. You have to make them prove that they can beat you down the field if you're playing single high safety before you start course correcting and saying, well, we can't get beat by this. And I think they did a poor job of that against Pittsburgh and not making Kenny Pickett beat them. They let the running game, the 200 plus rushing yards, beat them. And that should have never been the case. They needed to bring down a safety sooner. They needed to make those adjustments sooner. And instead, 200 plus rushing yards basically beat Green Bay on the day. And Kenny Pickett did not. And I think they have to learn from that. And if they do that and make it so that Tommy DeVito and these wide receivers beat Green Bay, and if they get 1 or 2 down the field, tip your cap and say, congratulations, good job. But that's the group that needs to beat you. It cannot be Saquon Barkley rushing for 200 yards, because that will be an extremely frustrating experience. That means they did not learn from that Steelers game at all.
Yeah. And I heard a stat that Giants QB, I mean, they named DeVito the starter, I guess, just today or whatever, but he's been sacked, I think, 15 times in the last 2 games. They've won both games, and he's had 100 passer rating in each of those games, I think. It's a crazy, crazy situation, and I think it goes to, you heard Matt LaFleur talk about it this week, that this league can humble you real fast. And I think these highs could get very low if you were to have a misstep against a team like the Giants right now. This is not a good team. This is a team we should beat. And you want to see this Packers team go out and do their due diligence.
The NFL has a way of punching you in the face in a real hurry, no matter who you are. Just the moment that you put any level of cruise control on things and don't do the same things that got you there in the first place, you end up losing games that you shouldn't. And Green Bay is not this, as well as they've played, they are not this well-rounded juggernaut that just doesn't, that can take anyone for granted. Green Bay has, in most games this year that they've lost, have beat themselves. It hasn't been like the Raiders and Broncos just, fought Green Bay tooth and nail and just were like that much better. No, a lot of times it was Green Bay making the mistakes. Atlanta, same thing. Pittsburgh, a lot of the same things. Like, it's Green Bay making the mistakes and beating themselves. So that's job number 1, is make the Giants beat you. Don't beat yourselves. And I think if they do that, great. But if they do have this, cruise control moment, or like, hey, we just beat Patrick Mahomes, we're easily going to beat Tommy DeVito, and they're going to probably humbled very, very fast, because that's just the way the NFL works. And you got to be really careful that you don't have that sort of letdown following all this, huge victories against some really impressive opponents. Because otherwise, like you might as well have just lost to the Chiefs and beat the Giants, and you would have ended up in the same place if you end up with a loss against the Giants this week. So this is a big one for Green Bay. I really think it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, another nationally televised one too.
Big time.
Let's go.
Got any more questions?
Who's your Super Bowl pick?
I can't go against the 49ers, and I know that's lame and that's chalk and that's just what everyone's going to say at this point. If San Francisco's healthy, they play at just a level that is really tough to match. I mean, Philly is an insanely good football team, and San Francisco just went into their building and crushed them. I mean, just crushed them. Like, KC's not playing great. I do think Miami gives a lot of challenges to teams, but I can't quite get there as like Super Bowl favorite. Like, I just, to me, San Francisco's the most well-rounded. They have the quarterback, like the perfect quarterback to run that Kyle Shanahan system. I would go with San Francisco until proven otherwise. I know that it hasn't always gone according to plan for them in playoffs and they end up with injuries, but I would have to, if you told me like I had to bet everything on it right now, I would take them and just hope for the best, even though I know crazy things can happen in the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Who's yours?
I don't know. I heard a rumor today that the new logo is out for the Super Bowl. It's color coded and that it's called Games in the Past.
It's interesting.
I'm a bit of a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wish I could pull it up for you, but somebody posted it today that the graphic for the Super Bowl this year is red and purple. So I'm taking the 49ers and the Ravens are going to be in the Super Bowl this year. I'm going to go ahead and put money on it.
I will say
it did that those are probably the two, favorites at this point in their respective divisions or conferences, I should say. So we'll see. Otherwise, I guess it could theoretically be Chiefs and Vikings too. Let's just hope it doesn't go in that direction.
Oh, dear merciful heavens, no. Yeah. Well, that's up to the Packers here. I guess the Lions play them twice, I think, yet, and then we've got them week 17. So let's just make sure, and we'll just send them home. Let's just send them straight home. All right. Well, Andy, we want to thank you for jumping on with us. When you are not riding the elevator with Brian Gutekunst, where can people find you? What are you into?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Andy Herman NFL or X at Andy Herman NFL. You can follow the podcast at Pack-A-Day Podcast. If you have yet to check out the Pack-A-Day Podcast, 365 days a year, every single day on YouTube and wherever you find your favorite podcast. So make sure to check that out. Question for Aaron though before we go. So Packers Steelers, who were you cheering for?
Who do you think?
I'm assuming the Steelers, since you were born and raised a Pittsburgh fan. All right. See, I respect that more actually, that you didn't just abandon the other way. So
I actually wore my Steelers gear here for that
week's podcast.
Brady was going to kick me out.
Yeah. I had to just burn the house down if I knew that was, we were not even going to happen. Yeah. Well, just to let you know, I believe your parents were in the house. You were at your parents' house when the Steelers game. Were you or not? Was that pressure on you where, so they weren't going to let you.
Steelers games with my parents. My mom's from Pittsburgh, and I don't have cable, so to go with them.
Understand. Well, just so you know, the last Packers Super Bowl went kind of in Green Bay's favor. This past week we'll see. I think Green Bay is going to go in the right direction. Maybe just switch all the way to the good side.
I can't disagree. Pickett's out for an unforeseeable amount of time. We've got Mitch Trubisky in his place, and it's about to look like JV football out there. It's not going to look good.
Did you see the quote of I forget who got asked, but they're like, how is Mitch as a leader? And they're like, yeah, he's fine. I don't know.
He's all right. Listen, it's so bad. Somebody in town has offered me a signed Mike Tomlin hat, and I thought I might give it to my mom for Christmas. And now I'm thinking, I may not. It might be just a horrible gift for her.
Amazing.
We'll see.
I hope they turn it around a little bit for your sake. But
thank you.
In the meantime, you've got the Packers.
Yeah.
Yeah. And unlike you, Andy, we're still holding out hope. She is a smart girl. So at some point, it's just going to have to hit home.
I know more about the Packers this year than I know about the Steelers. So
good.
There's that.
Perfect. You're on the right path.
Right.
Andy, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate you jumping on, man. And all the best to you.
You bet. Thanks for having me, guys. Always appreciate it.
Thanks.
Bye. Well, a big thanks to Andy. He's great, isn't he?
He's awesome.
Yeah. He is such a grinder. Just the amount of work he does. And a big shout out to Andy as well. I forgot to mention this. I believe Andy just went full time for the first time ever this year with this. So, big congrats. I know what it takes to do that. I've got a hunch you worked many years like I did before you ever made a penny on this thing. Andy's fantastic. He's one of the best out there, best in the business. All right. So Packers, Giants, yet another primetime game. Monday Night Football. Monday night, a little MNF action. A team that is reeling at this point. They did name DeVito the starting quarterback. So no Tyrod Taylor in this one. Don't have to deal with that. Is that who you wanted to play?
I don't know.
Yeah. DeVito.
Maybe I do want DeVito. Do I want DeVito?
Here's the thing. In the last 2 games, he's been sacked 15 times, I think, in the last 2. It's just unreal. And yet he's won those games.
I know.
And I think they had a bye week in there. So like they haven't lost for like 3 weeks. Like what is going on in the world at that point? But, you know, a team that's giving up a lot of yardage on average on the ground. Packers come in. If A.J. Dillon, I think, can get things going, should definitely be an opportunity for us to continue our winning ways, which now we are officially on a streak. What do you got? What's the Vegas line say on this one, Aaron?
Vegas, as of today, Wednesday, says Packers -6.5, Giants +6.5.
On the road, no less.
On the road, over under 36.5.
Yeah, this is one of those that they're just not a good team. I mean, they're just not. There's no excuse in this one. You know, we obviously talked to Andy about the fact that, you know, this league can humble you at any time. If you skip a beat, you know, you're going to get beat. But, you know, get a ground game going. Jordan Love without Christian Watson in this one now. So no Watson, no Musgrave, no Aaron Jones. Gosh, am I kind of glad that we're playing the Giants this week. So get a run game going. Obviously, I'm starting to consider coining a new phrase and stop calling Dontavian Wicks, start calling him Devontavian Wicks. The boy is balling out. We've got a young group of wide receivers that is just getting scary. And now this is going to be an interesting challenge because now you don't have that stretch the field threat. You don't have that north-south threat that gives you it gives you space to work underneath. Mm-hmm. So this is going to be a workhorse day, I think, for, you know, Romeo Dobbs, Dontavian Wicks, you know, Malik Heath, some of these guys, whoever's available at this point without Christian Watson. So, but I think offensively, we should be able to put up points. I'm starting to get to the point where, and I'll throw this one back to you if you want to comment, where I just plain believe in Jordan Love right now. Mm-hmm. It's just like, no, I think this kid's going to get it done.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel about that.
I need some more time.
5 games to play. Now, and you could conceivably, in my mind, be waiting for, now that they look like they may make a playoff push, to see how he plays when the rubber meets the road. We saw Aaron Rodgers, and this is why when Aaron Rodgers went to the New York Jets, we talked about this as Packer Nation. What I don't think the Jets were realizing is Aaron Rodgers had not played good football in those playoff games at all. He had played some buddy ball, made some mistakes. Going to be interesting to see a new guy. He's just kind of just running the scheme that Matt LaFleur is the offense that Matt LaFleur is calling to some extent. He's making his checks. How does he go when he gets up against, you know, top defenses? Well, Chiefs game was a big step in the right direction. Hopefully the Packers can get this one done. I've definitely got a win in this one. I'm going to expect that the Packers hold the Giants to 17 points.
Okay.
I think this could be one where they struggle to score at all against us. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to think, did we lose anybody defensively? I think Savage went out for a bit and came back. Maybe you get Jair Alexander back. I think I'm looking for a good defensive performance, and then offensively, maybe a little slower. Defensively, my concern is Saquon Barkley. I mean, we're not good against the run. If we let him get ahead of steam and they can just try to grind one out against us, I think that's their best chance to win this game. However, we have a quarterback now, and Jordan Love, I think if he answers, you know, this could be against that defense, I think we could see our first 30 burger in a while. I really do. I think Jordan Love is really taking it upon himself in these big primetime games. And there's something to be said for that when you're playing under the lights. It's a whole different ball game. Jordan Love really seems to kind of enjoy it there a little bit. You know, if you saw him, but after the game, he FaceTimed everybody, or I don't know if he put it on Twitter or whatever, and just took everybody around Lambeau and said, we just got a big dub here. He was kind of eating it up a little bit. Of course, you got to do your due diligence, but I can see the Packers winning this one big, and I hope they run away with it because that's what you kind of want against a bad team. So So we will see what happens. And in the meantime, lots of excitement for Packer Nation. We get to just kind of enjoy it. You get to enjoy a Sunday of football where we don't have to watch the team play and kind of worry.
Yeah.
And hopefully we will be back again next week talking about a big Packers win against the Giants.
Hope so.
What do you say? You can see us on all your social media channels, my social media channels, facebook.com/Green Bay Packer Nation. Check us out on Spotify, wherever you pick up your podcast. We will be there. And in the meantime, I will let you guys go for now. Thank you for watching. We'll catch you next time on Hot Cheese. Go Pack.
Go Pack.
Packer Nation worldwide.